Hello, Mech fans. This is Duncan Fisher. Hold on firmly to your mana potions, fireballs, and familiars, because you are tuning in to your regularly scheduled episode of the First Circuit Podcast.
Our special guest is Tuckleston from BattleBound. He'll be talking about everything BattleBound related and Battletech AMA from Tuckleston Games, techs, and everything else down the pipe. So, Tuckleston, take it away.
So we just did the Black Widow Company versus the Grey Death Legion, and I feel like that was really well received by the community. But the big thing I wanted to do and give a shout out to was working with Tex. That was just a dream. You know, that was a big thing for me. We'd wanted to have him on the channel like forever, and it's just however busy you think the man is, he's 10 times that busy,
Really?
and then he's busier than that. So. Getting to pin the man down is difficult, and we originally wanted to have him like do some kind of Tex plays Battletech, kind of thing, where we got on Mega Mech or Tabletop Simulator or something like that. But it became obvious that because of his schedule, that's just really not going to be a thing. And I struggled honestly for the longest time trying to figure out, well, what am I going to do? Like, how am I going to have this guy on? Because he really wanted to be. But at the same time, I didn't want to bring him on and have it be trivial. Like, I felt like whatever it is that I did with Tex, it had to be something special. It had to be something unique. It had to be something I hadn't done before. And so when it came time to do that particular game, I hadn't actually thought about who's going to narrate it while I was playing it. I was just playing the game. And then after the whole thing, it kind of occurred to me, I'm like, well, why wouldn't I ask and see if he'd be willing to do this? It would certainly be a lot less time than, playing a game of Battletech. So I reached out to him on Discord, and he said, "Oh yeah, I'd love to do it." And I was blown away. I said, "Okay, great, yeah, let's do it." And that's kind of how that whole thing came to be.
So what was the process there? Did you write him a script and he just voiced it out, or did he actually look at the game and make his own story?
No, I wrote the entire script, but Tex ad-libbed several lines, like I'm sure everybody's seen it. So when you see lines like they were a peewee hockey team fighting a gang of methed up convicts, like he made that up. There's no way I could have written that line. So there, or because it's Natasha Kerensky and that's what she does. Like he threw some stuff like that out there, but I'd say I wrote 99% of that. So
Okay.
The obvious Texisms that you hear, yeah, I'm not clever enough to write all that, but everything else I wrote it. And he just sent it to me. He would just read it, and he emailed them to me by WAV file.
What's your process as far as doing, about writing your script? I'm just curious. So I'm like, I love watching your episodes for like BattleBound, and it's like, oh man, this is really cool. How do you figure, like go and put everything together?
Well, typically with the Halloween games, I have a story beforehand that I know that I want to tell, and I just have to figure out how am I going to tell that by what happens in the game. But before I go into, like, let's say your average, just I'm going out somewhere and here's the game we're doing, I have no idea about anything until I go out there, we play the game, and then I come back here and I get it all in the studio here. And essentially what it boils down to is I have to rewatch the entire game. So let's say you have a game that took you 4.5 hours or whatever. I'm usually going to speed through, the movement. I want to know who won initiative, and then I'm just going to kind of, move the selector bar down the line and just watch everybody's move. And then I have to sit and listen to what shots did everybody make? What did they actually hit with? And then I have to think to myself, is this relevant? Do I need to talk about that? Because I was just telling somebody last night, there's only so many ways to say he moved in such a way that would make it difficult for him to be shot, but also make it advantageous for him to shoot his opponent.
Yeah.
That sentence right there, that I can only say that so many different ways. And that's why sometimes you'll see me skipping a few turns, because I was like, well, what happened in these 2 turns? They moved and shot. That was it. There was nothing unique about it. So I have to pick, what do I want to drop and what do I want to keep? And I want to hit the high points, but I also... lately, I've been editing for content, like keeping it longer than I normally would. I originally wanted it to be 10 minutes or so when I first started doing this, and I realized that people wanted battle reports that were a lot longer than that.
Oh,
And
okay.
so I started covering more turns as opposed to skipping, several and just hitting the key points. I started like trying to write a longer story. So basically that's what it is. I rewatch the game and then I write the story based on, what's happening
Yeah.
when I can sit down in a sterile environment and not have to focus on the gameplay.
Okay.
So I have two follow-ups. First off, you rewatch the game and re-listen, so obviously you need to be able to hear what's been going on. What audio setup do you have for recording those games?
I have an extremely primitive audio setup. It's a webcam that I bought off of a friend of mine for a song, and it's like some Logitech webcam. And there's been episodes in the past where like some crazy thing has happened and we've all started screaming and the audio just totally bottoms out. Like
boy.
it clips on me, and there's nothing I can do about it because I can't afford a GoPro or anything like that, which is what I've been thinking about doing.
Mhm.
But again, like I was just telling you guys before we started this, I'm so horribly technologically inept that I look at webcams and I'm like, is this good? Is that good? I have no idea. And you try to look up things on the internet and you have various reviews here and there, but I don't know what's
Yeah.
good and what isn't. So a friend of mine sold me that camera and it picks up the audio. And then, of course, I have my camcorder, which while things are happening, I get really good audio out of that
Mhm.
because it's a high-end camcorder. So I just kind of have to take this mixture of the two and put it together. And as long as the room that I'm recording in isn't like terribly loud, I should be fine. I couldn't use that webcam at like a gaming convention or something. I wouldn't be able to hear anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
that's
like,
cool.
do you have any plans to buy a separate microphone, or is it just you don't want to take another microphone with you when you do these games?
Oh, it doesn't bother me. I don't, as long as I have room for the equipment and all that, it doesn't bug me. I'd like to get something else. It's just a question of uh, when I'm able to afford it and what's good. And like, I have a decent like little Patreon setup, so I don't really spend that money unless it's show related.
Yeah.
So I keep it, and if I find a piece of equipment that I really feel like I need, I get it. But that I'm always leery about spending a bunch of money on a piece of equipment and then getting it in and going, this isn't really what I
Yeah.
had hoped it would be. So I'm always open to input on that. If anybody that's watching wants to throw here's a good microphone suggestion out there, I don't
Mhm.
want to take this one with me everywhere I go, but
Now, like, I got a question. You traveled around the country, right?
right.
Okay. That man, I envy you, man. Basically, I used to travel around the country like when I used to work, and that's pretty cool to go to all the different gaming stores throughout the country. Like, what's that experience like when you haul all your stuff to each and every store? Like, do you go by plane or like do you travel by a car?
I don't have the budget for plane travel, so
Hmm.
but because of my background in professional wrestling here,
Hmm.
I'm so used to what they call doing the drives. And so I am used to driving, X amount of hours one way just to go to a show that's only going to last for 3 hours and then driving 3 times that long to get back home.
Hmm. Okay.
So when it came to travel, it was basically by car or you don't do it. The experience for me, it's very personally rewarding. I like doing that and I like meeting these people because when I first started this, I said, well, it's the players and these game shops that make this game great. Like, sure, we all love the lore and we all love the setting and the mechs, of course, but if we didn't have these people and we didn't have these game stores, then we wouldn't have this setting. We wouldn't have all
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. True.
And it was like that Guy Fieri show, Drive-ins, Diners, and Dives, but for BattleTech. That's what I wanted to, when I threw it out there, that's what I wanted to do. The people, though, they seem kind of taken aback
Oh,
because
really?
you show up with all this stuff. Like you have your entire gaming setup, you have all these cameras, you have, all this recording equipment, and people just kind of, they're not, I feel like some folks just aren't sure quite of what to make of it.
Hmm.
And it was a weird lesson to learn because I am so used to, in wrestling we cut promos all the time. Like being in front of a camera, it's nothing to me. And I don't know why, don't ask me, I couldn't tell you, but I just naturally assumed that anybody I pointed a camera at would just be ready to go. Like not like polished and professional, but they would be ready for their 15 minutes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that is not the case.
Yeah, not at all.
No, a lot of people are just like, and they're kind of camera shy, and I just pretend it's not there. I'll talk to the camera. You can just talk to me and just ignore that. But even then, sometimes it's kind of challenging. So I think a lot of folks, they're just kind of like taken aback by the whole thing.
Yeah. So with all your stuff picked up, how much Battletech stuff do you take with you on average? Like 2 regiments, 4 regiments?
4
Oh,
regiments.
good lord. No.
Are you talking about RCT regiments, or like what are you talking about?
When it comes to that, I basically let the player decide what they want to do. I don't ever try to say, well, here's what I want to do, and let's work on that. No, I just tell them, what do you want to do? Do you want to play a clan game? Do you want to play Intersphere? How big do you want this to be? Do you want it to be combined arms? Do you not? Like whatever. And then whatever they tell me, I try to keep it small. It can't be like the Black Widow game, for example. I can't do a company versus company out on the road. That took us, 9 hours to do over 2 sessions. The idea a lot of times when we're out on the road is we have to drive out there, we'll spend the night, we'll go play the game the next day and drive home the same day. So I can't spend 9 hours on one game.
Yeah.
It has to be a game that I can knock out in 4.5 to 5 hours tops, and then we'll do the after the action and we'll go eat and then we'll get the hell out of there. So time is a factor. So honestly, most times I don't really take more than maybe 10 to 12 mechs with me at any given time, just because that's mine and that's theirs, and maybe there's a couple extras if that's needed, and that's about it. But when it comes to the other stuff, I take everything else. So like that big blue tote that I have, which has my felt mat, all my terrain in it. It's got my buildings, my bridges, all that stuff. And, all the dice that I have and things like that. So and then you have all the cameras, like your laptop, your cameras, your camcorders, things like that. So when we get to the store, it's actually a lot of stuff, or at least it seems like a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But for the actual mechs, yeah, maybe 8 to 10.
Now, like for the stores, though, like you obviously contact them first and say, hey, we want to do an episode. Like, is that well received, or do they go, who the hell are you, type thing?
I've never had a negative response.
Okay.
It's always just been like, oh, okay. Like most of the people that I talk to aren't the shot callers. They're not the people that make those decisions. But they say either call back at this time and talk to the owner, or they say, yeah, I don't see why that should be a problem. And, that's it. And I just tell them, this is who I am. This is what I do. And we like to showcase these game shops, and would it be okay with you? And they say most of the time, oh, yeah, sure. And the other times it's just, well, I can't make that call, so call back at this time and talk to the shop owner, and he'll tell you.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I've never had a negative experience there.
Oh, good.
Do you communicate directly with the players beforehand?
Oh, sure. We talked to them. Originally, we used to go out there and shoot like a little interview when I got there, but I've realized, I can save all that time if I just do it on Zoom or something like that. And that'll get me an extra video, like that's extra content for the channel. So now what we do is I talk to them extensively beforehand by either text or email or whatever it is, and then they tell me what they want to take, and I balance that out and make sure it's pretty close. And then we'll do a Zoom interview. Like, so we've already been talking for probably 2 weeks by then, and we'll do a Zoom interview, and that's when I'll just hit I'll talk about what we're taking, I'll talk about how they got into the game, that kind of thing. I'll basically do that in-person interview, but over the internet, and then when I get to the store, I don't have to do that anymore. It's already done.
Oh, that's cool.
And I call that before the fight.
Yeah.
You're also familiar with them, and they are familiar with being on camera, so that's definitely always a bonus.
Yep.
Definitely.
So, yeah, you mentioned the Great F game again, and I wanted to ask you, did these two companies kind of balance themselves properly, or did you have to adjust them for that game?
You're going to hate my guts, but we never did any kind of battle value anything for that. That was just, I happened to be going through the Great Death Legion scenario pack from the 1980s.
Oh, perfect example, yeah.
It just happened to have a scenario in which the entire Grey Death Legion faces off against these Draconis forces, but when you're looking at it, it's the exact force composition of the Black Widow Company. And so I was just like, okay, well, to hell with the battle value and all that. Why don't we just take these guys and put them head to head? I've never seen anybody do that, and that's unique. That's cool. And I was just going to use the gunnery and piloting skills that came in the book, which were not great, but I was willing to go there. And that's when Ray from Catalyst got a hold of me and said, hey, we have a lot of this stuff here internally, but we tend to review it every so often, and we'll go back and fix it and make it, more in line with how we feel like it should be. And that's when they sent me the updated gunnery and piloting skill lists. And the only thing that I changed about that is that my opponent at the time was really worried that I would just steamroll him with, Natasha Kerensky and a couple of the other people being 0 gunners. And so I said, okay, I'll bump them up to 1s. How does that make you feel? And I'll give you some tanks. How does that make you feel? And so balancing wise, that's it. I just gave him concessions so that he wouldn't feel like I was just going to cold cock him. And that would be it. But battle value wise, I never actually sat down and did the numbers.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just looking at the title and like, aren't the Dragoons just gonna steamroll the Great F Legion? Isn't Natasha Kerensky one of those Uber pilots? So yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, true. I mean, good idea actually using the old books to go and put them together. I think that's awesome. That's really good
Speaking
idea.
of which, did you read the new Great F Legion novel yet?
I haven't had the chance to get that yet. I've been so busy working on this stuff that novel reading is kind of on the back burner for me. But it's definitely on there. It's something that I want to do.
Yeah, for anyone listening, there has been a new Great F Legion novel set directly after the Helm combat, where the Great F Legion obviously got their main fame from. And it's a pretty good novel, and it's especially refreshing since it's the original author and the original timeline with the original characters.
Oh,
And
okay.
it's just such a nice change from all the new era stuff. It was a really good read.
Let's check that out.
Recommend.
Cool. So, anything else you want to talk about there?
I have
Let's
one quick thing.
Okay.
Okay, I'm listening.
Yeah.
I have a dice tower. Thank you for
Oh.
recommending that.
Oh God.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was you on our last episode. You were like, dice tower, and you showed it off, and I'm like, I've never seen a dice tower.
Really?
And then I bought
Oh.
one and colored it, and it's so nice. Thank you for that recommendation.
Oh, sure. I've told the guy that made mine that dice tower is the single most popular thing, like, on the show. Like, forget me,
Yeah.
forget anybody else. Like, that, everybody's always like, where did you get that dice tower, man? And I just have to tell him, well, it's this fella, he's from the Ukraine, and he's just this really, like, humble guy, and he's not into, the razzle dazzle, the razzmatazz, being on the camera and all that. He just makes things, and he's come up with like 2 or 3 ideas for how to speed up gameplay, and that was just one of them. And he gave that to me as a birthday present, and I've had it ever since.
That's cool.
And I just talked with the guys at Death Ray about making a dice tower like that, because one of my favorite things about that one is you roll the dice, but it doesn't have a bottom to it. So the bottom is the table. So if anybody doubts what you've rolled, you just lift the dice tower up and they can see what the results are, and you don't have to have any, well, you moved it or anything like that. So I talked to them and said, well, is there any way that we can get this made? Because we're talking about getting some widgets, is I think what they call it, made, where it's like gameplay aids for Battletech.
Yeah.
And it could be Alpha Strike game aids, for example, or stuff like that. And I said, well, if we could get this done, I guarantee you people want this thing, because I never hear the end of it. And they said, well, the only issue is the charts are all like proprietary information. So I've actually talked to Ray about that, and hopefully we can work out some kind of deal where they can sell the tower itself and have it blank, and when you buy it, you get like a little link to a free download with all this stuff and little instructions that tell you this is where this chart goes and that chart goes, and then you can do it yourself.
Yeah, the copyrights with BattleTech are another couple thousand shows. Basically,
right?
Based off of everything that's been happening. But yeah, that's a cool idea though. I definitely like that.
Yeah, and just in case it doesn't work out for anyone listening, you can get blank dice towers, either wooden one of Amazon, and just assemble it yourself, put some pelt on it, color it. It's not that difficult, and it's a really good investment.
True.
So we got. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's not cool.
Sorry, I just like bragging about my dice tower.
So we got the Halloween episode coming up, and I like to put I like to release those literally on Halloween. And this year it's the Devil's mech. Like, what mech would the Devil pilot if he had one? And I had to come up with a design for that, and then I had to write a little bit of a story about it. And it's kind of interesting. This story that I wrote is the first time that I've ever had somebody from the Battletech community that's not a professional like voice actor or anything come in and do a little bit of voice acting for it.
Oh, okay.
So that was kind of cool. It's not a large role or anything like that, but still, it's the first time I've ever just had another player send me some audio, and then I throw it in there, and I told the story. So it was a lot of fun writing that story, because I had to figure out how am I going to do this and make it believable and also not make the mech stupid. So I had to redesign it. It was a Zeus, and so I redesigned it with specs that I kind of pulled from Karinsky's old Orion. So I kind of took those things, and then I had to give it superpowers, like spooky. Something has to be off about this. You can't just, okay, here's a mech, that's it. That's like any other game. So I had to write the powers for it, and then I had to play test it against certain people. Is this too much? Like, is this doable? And I got down to a list of 3 that were pretty cool. So that's going to be pretty neat.
Spooky.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
I also
basically-
expected you to do like a quad or maybe triple leg Franken mech design, but yeah, superpowers always.
I'm actually excited to go ahead and hear about that.
Well, would you rather wait and see it on the episode, or do you want me to just tell you now?
No.
Oh no, I'll rather wait for the episode
No
actually.
spoilers.
Okay,
Just
because yeah,
but no spoilers.
I detail everything in the episode of what the superpowers are and stuff like that. So
I guess you could put them as traits, basically for the mech themselves. Not superpowers, because that, I mean, that's like champions or something like that. But yeah, man, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's basically it. The mech itself has the, like, whoever's piloting it, they don't realize what's happening until they're inside of it. To them, they just think, oh, it's this powerful thing of legend, and they sit down inside of it, and then they realize, oh, well, I have access to all this power now. And the question is, can they keep themselves from using it all the time? Because the story is that the more you use it, the more risk you run of having something bad happen to you, because you've got all this power and you just can't lay off the throttle. And the question is, can you stay your hand even though you have access to all this super powerful junk?
And it sucks your soul, basically, right?
Something like that.
That's cool though. That's awesome.
That's cool
I love
though.
it.
Yeah, very different from last time. I think last time you did the zombie mechs.
The zombies, yeah. And that one's always very polarizing. I've done that scenario multiple times. You'll get people who are like, wow, cool, and then you'll get people who are like, this is super overpowered. And I just have to say, well, the Halloween games aren't meant for you to win.
Yeah, true.
They're meant for a story. And just to have you get to play a game that's so far out of the ordinary that you're just like, yeah, you take Dungeons and Dragons and stick it in with Battletech, and you try to make something interesting out of it.
Yeah. Expectation management is important with everything, though.
Yeah.
Make sure the players are familiar. Like, be at the beginning, like, I don't expect you to win this game. You're probably gonna die. Try to enjoy it.
Yeah, most of the people that I play with know that about me at this point. So when it comes to Halloween, they know something is going to happen. And I give them a basic outline, and I say, okay, here's the gist of it. But I don't tell them, for example, I never told them that the zombies were going to come up out of the ground and fight them, or I never told them that this mech has all these abilities that once you get in it, you don't find out until then. I never said anything. It's just when it happens, because I want them to be surprised.
Yeah.
But also have a good time.
Oh, yeah. Whole point about gaming.
I mean, that's what Battletech is all about: having good time and random headshots.
True.
And
yeah.
The players that I play with, if you ask them, they'll tell you, like, yeah, we had a great time doing this. So nobody walks away from these things going, man, I feel like I got hosed on that one. Like, nobody walks away upset. So I mean, really, it's just for entertainment of the people that are watching, because I could play these games and not film them and just have a good time, but the people that are watching it, I hope that they say, oh, this is unique, this is new, this is different, and they're entertained by it instead of putting themselves in the shoes of the player and thinking, how would I react if this were done to me? Just remember, all the players liked it when we walked away from it. So it's mainly just, okay, now you guys as viewers are along for the ride here.
True. So, like, what else is down the pipe for you?
We have this upcoming Catalyst Game Labs AMA where they're having community content creators that create Battletech related content, and I was asked to be a part of that. And see, I
Cool.
know that some people are just like, that's cool, like whatever. But the thing is, like, I'm a lifer. I've told people that 100 times, and I've been doing this since I was 13 years old. So to be part of literally anything that is an official Catalyst, anything, I don't care what it is. It could be like just, a coffee meeting. I would be like, yeah. And so it's a big deal to me. And up until recently, the only little thing that I've been able to say is I did the battle values for Catalyst for that Black Widows versus Grey Death. I did all the battle values out for the new skill sets. And I'm just like, look, nobody's going to take that away from me. I don't care. I did work for them. So yeah. and so for this, it's a big deal to me. So I don't know who else they're going to have on, but they asked me to be a part of that.
Yeah, that's super cool. The Catalyst AMAs have always been very enjoyable and worth watching. So anyone
I like
listening,
to watch the replays.
check them out most definitely.
Yeah, like
it's actually. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, like, I know the feeling basically, because like having Mitch Gittleman on and having people from MechWarrior Online and all that kind of stuff. I was giddy when Mitch was here. It's like, oh my god, it's like a kid in a candy store. It's like, yes,
Right?
I got Mitch in, like type thing, talking to him like personally and all that kind of stuff. It was really cool to go and have that happen, and just the people that I've met over the years. That's what gets me is the friendships, like Ian and Biter. I don't know about Biter, but no, I'm just kidding. But like Ian and Biter, you and everyone else that I've met, is just that's the most rewarding thing for me, is talking to you guys about something we all love.
Sure.
And then Mitch Gittleman too. That was cool. But yeah, I'm like, I get it. I definitely get it too. Definitely.
I was lucky that they work on Eastern time because I have a wrestling show that day, and I was going to be like, man, I'm going to be so pissed if this is one of those things I can't do because I have a show. And it turns out that, because they're an hour ahead of me, I'm like, well, that buys me some time. So I actually can get an extra hour on the back end, and we'll be able to do it from 1 p.m. my time to 3 p.m. my time. And then I have to leave immediately after that and run out to the next town to do a show. It's a charity wrestling show.
Oh, cool.
So
Okay.
I was like, I'm not going to blow it off, at the same time, but I'm like, how can I do both of these things? And fortunately for me, the promoter was cool with it. So I'll get to do it.
You know what it is actually? Or
What
can you
now?
say? Do you know when the AMA is?
Oh, well, they were talking about potentially having it on the 23rd of this month, but I mean, nothing is set in stone insofar as when they're going to do it on what date. But hopefully, the times that I was told stay static because I've worked out. But if it's some other day, it'll just I have shows for the next 3 weeks, like the 16th, the 23rd, and the 30th. I have something every single weekend for the rest of the month. This is like one of my last Goonie weekends that I don't have anything like that. So whatever weekend it ends up being, if it's not the 23rd, then I'll just have to do the same thing there, where I hopefully can find a workaround. But yeah, that's what they were originally talking about.
Okay, cool. Love your cat in the background, by the way. Your kitty in the background? The white cat?
Oh,
dog.
That's
that's
a dog.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah,
I'm old, so I'm old.
Jeez.
Looks like a cat, like when I was looking at it.
Siberian Husky.
Okay, never mind. That's a dog.
You're a very long-nosed cat.
But I do have 2 cats, so I thought one of them was running around, as she is wont to do.
Well, anything else that you have down the pipe coming through, or anything else you want to go talk about BattleBound and everything else there?
Let's see. I know that my next destination that we're looking for travel is Roswell, New Mexico.
Wow.
And yeah, I've been to Roswell twice, so I absolutely I know that it's all kitschy and it's all just nothing but a like tourist trap
Yeah, it
junk.
is. Yeah.
I don't care. I love it. Like
Uh,
the McDonald's shaped like a flying saucer, like give me
and
all that
Walmart has
shit.
and the Walmart there has a flying saucer like crashed into it. Did you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, basically when I
Mm-hmm.
was there a long time ago, they had that. But yeah.
But that's the next destination, and I've already found a new travel partner, not necessarily for every single solitary time, but at least for that one.
Hmm.
And kind of the plan going forward is to pick certain people for certain things and say, well, this is close. You're good for close trips, so let's have you and me go out on this trip. Whereas this fellow that I'm going to Roswell with, he's more of the outdoorsy adventure type, and so he's good for longer trips, that kind of thing. And so it's BattleBound is going to be kind of, I don't want to call it a revolving door because that sounds bad, like connotation wise, but it's going to be more of a group effort, and it takes a village type of thing than it's going to be a just me and somebody else. And I feel like having it be just me and somebody else is kind of, I don't know how else to say it, but part of what the problem is.
Mm.
So if I have, multiple people that I can say, hey, let's give this person a break because he just did this thing. This other thing I want to do is real close. So let's take you and I'll go out there and do it. We need to go back to Kansas and redo an episode because basically we went out and shot one in Kansas and the footage sucked for a
Oh,
lot of different reasons. It's like my phone was all messed up. I left my memory card at home. Like that trip was fun, but at the same time it was like, oof, the footage is just bad. So I have to go
damn.
out and redo the whole thing. But yeah, that's the next big destination that I'm really looking at is Roswell.
And with your partner being more outdoorsy, can we expect one of these cool intros somewhere outside?
Yeah. Yeah, like
You
a
mean like a
camping
like a
intro.
The
Yeah.
like the short story thing you did in the abandoned what was it? It
oh
looked like a
the
paintball
the
range.
abandoned town picture?
Yeah.
I actually wrote a sequel to that, the Try
Mm.
Hard Zone. I made another one. Getting it recorded has been the big challenge there. But today I'm recording a Halloween sketch, which is going to be like there's going to be an American Psycho tint to it.
Okay.
There's going to be like a bunch of sight gags and things like that. And I'm filming that today, and we're having some people I know come in to be horror actors, and a buddy of mine who's an independent filmmaker is actually coming in to help me shoot it. So, like I say, a team, like a group effort, as opposed to just
Yeah.
two people. But so yeah, for the Halloween one, absolutely, you're going to be looking at another sketch there. It's called Freddy versus Tuckles, and then we have for Roswell. I don't know. Like I have a lot of ideas, and I usually just go through them and say, what can I do that is going to be easy for me to do or doable, even if it's not easy. Like another big one we got coming up now that I talk about this, thank you, it's gotten my gears turning,
Yeah.
is Drunk Battletech History.
Oh God. I want to listen to
Yes.
that. I want to listen to that. That'd be cool. Oh, like I have a suggestion for the Roswell one.
Okay.
Aliens. Aliens. Put aliens like in it. I think that'll go over well.
Find
Yeah.
some kind of flying saucer or
Yeah.
something like that. Let's
Yeah,
do the
some aliens
let's do
and
far
Battletech.
country again, guys.
Oh, God.
But yeah, that's the Drunk Battletech History is something I'm really looking forward to doing. I don't know if you guys like the original Drunk History or not, but
I don't
that's
think I've
a
seen the Drunk
favorite show
History
of
one.
mine.
I don't think I've seen that before.
The
You
gimmick
guys?
is you get a guy or a gal and they get like not just buzzed, like they get white girl wasted. And they already know what subject they're going to be talking about going in. And they've researched it enough to be conversational in it and be able to tell the story. So when they're drunk, they start telling the story. And then what they do is the show brings in A-list Hollywood actors to reenact what this person is saying, except they lip sync right along with all the drunken talk, from the person. So the actors are acting out this scenario that this drunk person is putting out there, and it's always done in a humorous,
Yeah.
fashion.
Yeah.
So that's the gimmick of the show.
God,
Ah,
I
interesting.
don't think I don't get drunk that much. I mean, literally like maybe
I don't either.
three times a year. But I mean, when I do, oh my God, I should try that. I should try like a drunk streamer, like a drunk stream again or something like that. That'd be
Yeah,
kind of
Bob,
funny.
we should do that again. Remember the Urbies? We had a great time with
Oh
that.
God, yeah, the rubies. Yeah, true.
I don't know. I think when you get me drunk, I'm just gonna ramble about Battletech as much as I do when I'm sober. So
Exactly.
There you go. The
Wow.
topic that we were going to talk about was the creation of the Atlas, because I feel like that's a story I can tell even if I'm really drunk. So, and then however it is I tell it, I'm going to get some actors together and we're going to reenact it, or at least hopefully be able to reenact it. Fingers crossed. I have no idea how that's going to work out.
Jeez.
awesome. Looking very much forward to that.
Yeah, definitely. I want to go see that. I definitely go see that. I like laughing. It's good. It's good for the soul. Good for the soul.
And what I've told people, because there's been several people that have asked me questions about it, like, can I be on this, or what can we cover this story or that story? And what I've told people is I'm not sure yet if this is going to be a sketch that starts out at the beginning of an episode or if this is just going to be a standalone thing. But what I've said is whether or not there will be more than one of them will depend upon the popularity of the first one. And I hate to put it out like this, but like views and subscriptions are pretty much like the metric that I use to judge by whether or not something was good enough to do it again. And it's going to take me a lot of money to make that. So if it's not getting watched, I'm probably not going to do more than one of them. So if people like the idea, you have to watch it.
That's true.
Yeah.
There was some recent drama with you, with BattleBound. Can you go and like talk to us about it,
Oh,
or
sure.
okay,
My life's an open book. I don't have an issue talking about that kind of
okay,
stuff. So
okay.
I was just trying to think of what's the Reader's Digest version. Like, how can I? And if you watched my most recent video, the Lebanon, Missouri trip, where I went and covered the Lance Commander tournament, like right there in the beginning of the video, in the description, I said, well, this is where I usually talk about this, that, or the other, but unfortunately, I have to talk about this thing today, and that was that Chad and Taylor will never be returning
Okay.
to BattleBound. And several people have gone, well, gosh, like you guys were, the dream team. You were Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson, running around, and so here's what happened. As the three of you know, I had COVID in August.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
if you didn't know, now you know.
yeah.
I got over it. Here I am. But the thing is, if we set the Wayback Machine to the week that I got it, I didn't realize I had it for almost the entire week. It wasn't until Saturday that I realized my sense of smell was gone. It's since returned.
Yeah.
But up until then, I thought I was dealing with a kidney infection because I had all the symptoms of a kidney infection. And I was taking medicine for that, and everything was drinking lots of cranberry juice, and everything was working out, and I was in a very specific situation at the end of that week where I realized I couldn't smell anything. And that's when I, took a big whiff of like some sriracha sauce and realized, okay. But the thing is, Taylor was supposed to come over the next day to do an unboxing video
Yeah.
for the Kickstarter Wave 2 stuff, his stuff. And this is overnight between Saturday and Sunday. So I just went back to sleep and I figured, okay, I'll wake up the next day and we'll have to have this conversation. So I get up and I have a message from him, but it's been unsent. So I don't know what the context of that was. But my girlfriend comes in the bedroom because she figured out I was awake, and she told me, yeah, he messaged me to see where you were and what was going on and about what time he should come over. And I told him, don't come over. We're all, sick.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I thought, okay, well, he knows now. So there's nothing more there for me to do. I'm just going to go back to sleep. And I went back to sleep and I woke up, and it was about this time over the next couple of days that I found out that the Black Widow Company versus Grey Death Legion was featured on Sarna.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, wow. So I told him and the guy that we filmed it with, hey, we're on Sarna. And me and the guy that we filmed it with were the only two people to react like at all to that. And he was just really distant and really snippy or short. And so I messaged him and I was like, dude, what's the gimmick? Like, you said you would film this unboxing at your house and provide me with this footage, but you haven't done that. And, what's going on? And to make a long story really short, he essentially accused me of being willing to get him sick with COVID,
Really?
all for the sake of shooting this video. Yes,
Wow.
really. I'm not
Yeah.
making you. This is so bizarre that you can't make it up, and it's so out of character for him, and it's so off-brand. And like, I explained everything I've just explained to you. I didn't know, and of course I wouldn't have let you come over. I didn't, because when you lose your sense of smell, you don't really notice it until you're in a specific situation. But I could taste all the way up until then, so I didn't have any reason to believe that I had it. And I explained that to him. And the best course of action, I suppose, that he thought of in his head was, well, I'm just going to ignore him now, and I'm not going to say anything. And he started going behind my back and asking friends of mine, hey, I left something at the apartment. Can you get it for me? As opposed to just coming and asking me.
Just talking to you, yeah.
And it's not like this was over the course of a month now. So, I mean, it wasn't like there wasn't plenty of opportunity to speak to me. He just purposely chose not to. And I mean, that's the only conclusion that I can come to is he in a roundabout way, because he said, well, when were you planning to tell me, that kind of thing? And I was like, as soon as I found out, which was like 6 hours ago. So yeah, that's when. And I found out later, get this, from my girlfriend, that in their message where, she had told him we're sick, he goes, well, he never mentioned that to me. That's not cool. Well, I haven't had the chance to say anything about it yet.
Yeah.
I hadn't even gotten there. And so, like I said, the words never came out of his mouth in that particular string, but it was essentially accusing me of being willing to get him sick. And everybody he knows, basically, because he lives with his girlfriend and he has other people that he interacts with on a regular basis that we know, that I was willing to get him and all of them sick with COVID just so he could come over and we could scoop everybody and make an unboxing video, in the first 5 people.
Usually, basically communication is the key. Talking to people, like, doesn't matter like if it's good or bad. Talk to people so people don't have like assumptions and stuff like that. It works out 100% better than like anything else. But yeah, well, I'm sorry about that, about having the having COVID and the C word.
You said the word, Bob.
I know, damn it.
That's
Oh
the
god,
monetization one.
I'm gonna be tagged with that little thing saying like misinformation type thing. But
Right.
having the C word and like your friendship, all that kind of stuff. Sorry about that, but we're gonna go wrap up with episode 157. I'm gonna make this into 2 episodes. Yeah. Well, actually, I'm going to make it in 2 episodes, or 156 and a half, something. I don't know. Like, I'll figure it out. But thank you for, thank you, Tuckleston, for actually coming on and explaining some things, what's down the pipe. I look forward to the Halloween special, and everyone else should too, as well. But thank you for coming on. And this is a First Circuit podcast, episode 156 and a half. And thank you, everybody, for your support. Thank you for everything that's going on. Check out Tuckleston's Patreon page as well. All the links I'll have down below. Go check it out. Tonight's hosts are Ian.
I've been
And Biter.
Blarg.
And myself, Full Bob 10025, with special guest Tuckleston. Thank you so much for coming on, and we will see you on the battlefield.